from last month's meeting? Are there any comments, deletions or additions to the meetings? Not, should have done the poll. Roll call. Yeah, let's back up. I'm sorry. Roll call.
Roll call. Commissioner Cost. Here. Commissioner Morgan. Here. Commissioner Pickens.
Here.
Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Vice Chair Prince.
Here.
Roll call is completed.
Thank you for that. Again, this is to approve the minutes of last month. Do I have a motion? So moved. And
Second.
thank you. We have a motion from Commissioner Pickens and a second from Commissioner Williams. I don't have any remarks in regards to chair remarks other than, again, thanking everybody for being here and for the vote last month on chair and vice chair. And our councilman liaison is not present today. So skip that. Executive director's comments.
I do have a few. Good evening.
Good evening.
I first want to welcome our newest commissioner, Mr. Williams.
Welcome.
We're excited to have you on our board. We think you're a good fit for our board of commissioners, and we welcome you. Would you like to say a little bit?
No, I'm just content and satisfied to be here. Just a minor comment. I'm coming off the chairmanship of the planning commission of the city of Portsmouth. I served as the chairman of the planning commission for the last 4 years. And when asked to come to this board, having lived in a housing project for many years, I know a little something about it and how it works. But my background is really finance. But it's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you.
And I also would like to introduce our new executive assistant, Ms. Tracy Christian. If those who have not met her yet, she'll be working with you all closely. And we're excited to have her on board as well.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. It's a little work in progress, but I'll iron out the kinks sometimes. Welcome going forward.
So far, so good.
Okay. Okay, so last meeting, I told you all, and I think I sent via email, that I would update you on the issues with the crime in Dale's homes. I just want to provide you an update with that. I did meet with Chief Jenkins, myself, Ms. Jenkins, our security firm, and our property manager for Dale. We did go out and walk the streets of Dale and tried to come up with some remedies we felt that may be beneficial to help reduce the crime. We looked at issues such as speed bumps, lighting. Apparently a lot of the issues are stemming from emotions and social media, and it's not really gang related, from what I've been advised. And so they gave us some techniques, and our security firm some techniques, so that we can, combat some of those issues as they arise. He did also let me know that the 2 recent homicides in Dale, the one was a couple of weeks ago with the gentleman, and then prior to that was Ms. Atkins, that arrests had been made, and it was due to our camera system, and so they were able to arrest, the gentleman. So we're excited that they were able to use the footage, to do what it's intended to do.
Are we connected with the Portsmouth Police yet?
Not yet, so we still have to provide the footage, or they can log in manually to our system, but we're working with them on the Fuchsia system that will provide a live feed for them to access our system. So, so that is working properly. We're also, with the demolition of Swanson homes, we're going to be relocating those cameras to some dead areas in Dale that need coverage. We'll also put some in Hamilton Place, as well as Westbury properties. So all of our properties will have full coverage. So I think that would definitely help in our communities. They're also looking to start a program whereas they get volunteers and maybe look at paying a stipend to them to escort the kids to and from the bus stops. And they're looking for community members, residents to provide in that capacity. They're going to provide more information to us, but they wanted the children to be able to feel safe going to school and coming from school. So they're going to be looking at that as well. Our security staff also are attending the monthly resident meetings in our communities. So they can tell them and express to them some of the concerns they have, with the crime and any other issue they have going on. So they will be attending those meetings, monthly as well. They also were able to provide us with a specific lieutenant that we can contact, if we're having any issues. So that's assigned to our area. That information was provided to the property manager as well as the security. So they'll have direct access, when we have issues on the
So
property.
is this someone that'll be monitoring the neighborhood or just
Community
point
officer.
of contact like we used to have the community
It's
office?
not on that level. They're looking at possibly once they get at full capacity to do that, but it's not gonna be what we're used to, a community officer. She's assigned to other areas, but Udale is one of her areas.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
If you don't mind, just, any updates in regards to the gun safety, commission that.
I have not yet received a call yet for that. I think they voted, the city council voted on that at the last, meeting. And so I expect to hear something from that pretty soon. And PRJ will be at the table on that as well.
Sounds good. Any, commissioners' response, question?
I do have a couple of them.
Well,
Oh, so let's talk a little bit about the Missy Elliott donation. You all see that beautiful check, $50,000 that was provided to the Housing Authority. We are so excited for the generous donation that we received. It was really a quick, turnaround time that was provided. We literally had, 48 hours, 48 hours to pull this off. So thank you, Ms. Jenkins, to her staff, who were able to pull this together. It was a very, intimate function. They limited the amount of people. I would have loved to have all the staff and all of our residents there, but they did put some limitations on that. I actually wanted to have it in the communities, but they wanted to have that off site. So, we're excited, for the donations. We had to come up with parameters and how we would use these funds. And that was part of the strategy that we had to work with Missy Elliott's camp on. And so what we decided is that any resident that, we already received judgment and possession on, and we were now getting ready to file the writ, which means an eviction notice from the sheriff, that those are the families that would be benefited if they owed $3,000 or less. So we were able to assist 26 families, with those funds that now will be able to stay in their house.
Beautiful.
Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. In December, I will bring to you all the agency plan, update. And so, as you all know, who've been here for a while, that we pretty much every year have to tell HUD what we're gonna do with the funds. And so that will be coming, to you for December for the upcoming 2024 year. So we will have our public hearing and you will have the vote in the December meeting as well. Wanted to give you an update on this audit. So you all know that we are working on the 2020 audit. Yes, it is 2023. Okay. We have had some challenges with our audit firm, Home Resnick, and they have not been responsive to us and our needs. So I did instruct Ms. Adams to provide them with a 10-day notice to cure, which basically means that they need to resolve this issue within 10 days or we're going to terminate the contract. Again, we're talking about 2020 audit. We're ending 2023. You know, that is a long gap. And we probably should have did this probably some months ago. But nevertheless, we're going to move forward. We're going to give them opportunity to resolve this issue. I've also instructed Ms. Adams to get proposals from 2 other audit firms to do our 2021 and our 2022 audit. And so she's going to be submitting that scope next week, all right? We'll be submitting that scope and then we're going to put out a solicitation for new auditors. We're ending the contract with Home Resnick anyway. I think their time is up this year. So we had to put that solicitation out either. So we'll have new auditors in place for next year. But it's really important that we get these audits done. It's creating a hardship for the agency with our investors and our state, and they want current audits, you know?
Yeah.
So we gotta move on, we gotta move forward. So that's.
Is there a time frame with HUD that these audits We're supposed to, are supposed to.
a long time ago. You know, usually it's submitted and I think,
September
yeah.
of the year following the year that's being audited.
Mhm.
So it would have been for 2020, it would have been September of 2021.
What happens with that? Do we get extensions or? How does,
We get a fail
Mhm.
in our audit, in our HUD evaluation in that section, finance
so potentially we've got 2 fails coming.
potential.
And maybe this may be for the attorney. When we sign a contract for the audit, do we include an escape clause? You may not know.
I'm not familiar with it.
Okay.
Ms. Adams, about it, she's got the direct.
All of our contracts have two termination clauses, one for calls and one for, convenience. It's a HUD requirement that we have those two clauses in all of our contracts. This will be a termination for calls, because they didn't live up to the terms of their contract.
So we waited till 2023 to decide they didn't do for calls? Another story for another time.
Yeah.
So there were some delays related to COVID, that posed some challenges, not only to us, but other housing authorities as well. But I think we have been way more than patient than what we need to be. So,
My last question, will you review those contracts? Is that part of what you do?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you will ensure that there's an escape clause in those
That's correct.
and that we follow through. This is 2023. We're talking 2020. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
also, you should have received an email about the upcoming Governor's Housing Conference, November the 15th through the 17th. So if you are interested in going, please email, Ms. Christian by Wednesday of next week. So we can get you all registered for it. I like that conference because it not only, allows you to network with other housing authorities, but it's also non-private and non-public and private sectors of housing. So different entities are involved, not just housing authority. You will meet, you know, you'll learn the most greatest and I guess latest and greatest techniques in affordable housing. You have government officials there. You have the governor usually attend as well. So if you can make it, I think that's really a good conference for you all to attend. So November 15th through the 17th. Now, that being said, historically, we have canceled that November meeting because we normally have many commissioners attend. That always falls on the third Thursday, the Governor's Housing Conference. So with the and I'll also be at a training for our software with our software providers. So if we can get a consensus and we don't have any action items, I would like to suggest that we maybe cancel our November 4th.
Sounds fine with me unless there's something actionable.
An action where I'm aware.
I
Okay,
guess that's,
we're gonna just do a consensus. That's all I have.
alrighty. I don't believe there's any unfinished business that we had to return to. So our only action item is resolution 2023-43, authorizing Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority to execute closing documents and undertake obligations for the redevelopment of Lexington 2.
Yes, that will be me.
That's number 6, I believe.
Yes, it's under development tab number 6. Okay. So we're gonna talk about Lexington seniors, and I know you all who are, have already been on the, board for a while, already know about Lexington seniors. But I just want to give a brief overview, for Commissioner Williams. So we all know this is Lincoln Park.
What was?
Yeah, it was.
That's what it was. Public housing was built in 1960. It consisted of 178 family units. It was demolished in 2019 and 2020. This was phase 1 that we built for Lexington Place. And that was completed in April of 2021. It was 72 units that we built. It was a community center and it's also earthquake certified. The total development cost for Lexington Phase 1 was 15,381,000. So Phase 2, that's what we're here to talk about today. It's going to consist of 105 units. And for you all, this is Lexington. You see the mouse here. This is our Phase 1 of Lexington. That's the community center. So this will be Lexington seniors here. This is our Phase 2. So that will be the senior property that will be 105 units there. That's a rendering of it as well. Okay, again, 105 units. This is senior housing, so you have to be 62 and up to live there. We will have on-site services and amenities, such as a gym, a community room, arts and craft room, and so forth. But the total development cost of this is 34,835,000. It's always more costly to build mid-rise units as well, because you have the elevators, you have the fire suppression, and also the construction costs have just, increased beyond what our expectations are. So we're looking to start construction this January in Lexington seniors, and it'll be about a 17-month construction period. So we're expected to complete Lexington 2, which is Lexington seniors, in June of 2025. So before you, we have the next step, which is we need a resolution to execute closing documents. So I'll turn this over to Jonathan with Reno and Kavanaugh. They're our legal counsel for our development matters. So Jonathan, can you hear me? Hello?
Okay.
Hear me?
Yes, you can turn it up if you, yes, we can hear you.
Well, so as was just noted, this is for phase 2 of the Lexington redevelopment. And so what we are asked for at this time is for the board to authorize execution of all the various transaction documents at closing. So as of right now, we are anticipated to close in mid-November, but we're looking at getting, these resolutions passed now, because my understanding is that you don't have a November board meeting. So the main pieces of this deal as they relate to PRHA are that PRHA is ground the land to the project owner. The project owner is a partnership where the housing authority's affiliate, Portsmouth Development Corporation, is going to serve as the managing member of that of the general partner of that partner. And in addition to being the landlord on the deal and having an ownership interest in the project's owner, the authority will also have an option to acquire the general partner's interest in the project owner once the tax credit compliance period is over with. So this project is financed with, from various sources, including something called low-income housing tax credits. And so I'm sure everyone is familiar with this, but if you're not, the way the tax credit program works is, in exchange for tax credits that have been allocated to the project by the Virginia Housing Development Authority, we have an equity investor that makes a contribution of millions of dollars into the project in exchange for claiming those tax credits over the 10-year tax credit compliance period. So in addition to that, the housing authority is a co-developer And it is going to, receive a 40%, share of the total development fee. And the authority is also going to be routing certain funds as in the form of soft loans to the project owner. So these include city funds that were there's to capture the value of the property. There's something called an acquisition loan, right? So the property, the vacant land, is appraised at 1.6 million, and so in order to capture that value, there is an acquisition loan, also known as a seller loan, where there's no money that's being transferred here or given to the at closing to the project owner, but the housing authority is taking back a note so that value is back. In addition, there is $1.2 million loan in that that's coming from City of Portsmouth funds that were previously received and are now being routed through PRH, the project. The same thing goes for the Hampton Roads planning funds in the amount of $400,000. And then there is a final $500,000 loan from PRHA. These are all what are called soft loans by the authority. However, these are not grants. They are being secured with leasehold mortgages where the authority is the beneficiary. So you have the authority has a number of roles, both as landlord, as lender, as co-developer, and then it also is providing rental subsidy to the project in the form of project-based vouchers. I understand that's kind of a lot to digest, but those are the main points as they relate to PRHA's role.
Questions for Jonathan?
So, within 10 years, PRHA has the opportunity to, take full possession of the property?
Well, you want to answer that, Jonathan? You want me to?
Sure. Well, the authority is going to have the you're the landlord, so the ownership of the you're always going to be the owner of that land. But what you would have an interest in is acquiring the all the interests of the investor in the project owner, so that then you're running the project yourselves without any outside involvement. And so that the purchase option is generally, it comes out to being either the fair market value of the property or whatever taxes, if there are any taxes owed, plus the any debt that's on the property. Basically, what that would involve is you paying all the debt that is already owed to you, and so that it wouldn't require anything out of pocket from the house authority to take that 100% ownership of the project.
And that's what we did with Weston, Pat, and Holly, if you remember. So we now own that without any investors. So once it comes up and reaches compliance period, then we would just take it back over.
The fair market value is the fair market value of what they own
The fair market
of
value.
the total project, because you own 51%
It would be the fair market value of their interest.
of their interest. Okay. Yeah, I just.
Good.
Now, I see where wait a minute. It's there are two people gonna be appointed to the, EDC from,
Are you able to hear the commissioner?
well, I think two people here will be appointed to the PCC. Is that correct?
Right. So you want to explain the PDC and that?
Well, what I really want to know is who is that?
So it was Mr. Bland, myself,
Okay,
and, now we have the CFO. Mr. Bland is no longer in his position,
Right.
right? So, it would be myself, the deputy executive director, and the CFO will be added.
okay.
Any other questions, commissioners?
Any questions?
We can see this. Need a motion to, accept or deny resolution 2023-43. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Cost and a second by Commissioner Pickens. Roll call.
Commissioner Cost?
Yeah.
Commissioner Morgan?
Yes.
Commissioner Pickens?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chair?
Yes. Sean?
Yes, yes. Thank you, Jonathan. We appreciate it.
Okay, sorry, you want us to go ahead and drop off?
Yes, that's fine. Unless you just want to hang around for the fun.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the offer. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, bye.
Do we have any departmental updates? We do allow public speakers at PRHA for 5 minutes. Do we have any public speakers or guests here?
Vice Chair, we did receive, some written, comments, and let me share. So every now and then, we will get, citizens that will provide written comments to us that do not want to attend the meeting or are unable to attend the meeting. And so I did receive these, comments, yesterday, and so I will read them. And then we can, address the question. Address the, question concerns, okay? So it says, as a resident of Portsmouth, PRJ should maintain data and present when necessary. And present when necessary. What is the average wait time for applicant on the waiting list for public housing and housing choice voucher program to be selected? Asking for data for the past 5 to 10 years. Also, when selecting applicants from the waiting list, does PRHA use any other preference policy criteria for distributing housing choice vouchers to the applicants or selecting the next appropriate public housing other than what's listed? Because of the problems at Dale and some other public housing, most candidates would not choose to live in one of those units. And it says the PHA would use the following local preferences. So what you see here is just the preference points that we provide when we accept applications. Citizens that meet these criteria will receive additional points. If they're a veteran, if they've been involuntarily displaced by governmental action, if they are live, work, or graduate, or participant of education and training programs in the city of Portsmouth, if they're working, elderly, and or disabled, any VAWA, and homelessness. So understanding everyone's needs.
What is all?
VAWA, women against, okay, women against violence act, but it's women, but it's also for men, so yeah. So it, protects women that may be in a stalking situation or men, domestic violence situations and things of that nature. And then anyone that's homeless. So Ms. Knight, our HCV director, since these are questions related to the HCV program, I will let her address these questions.
Okay, the first question is, what is the average wait time for an applicant on the waiting list for HPV to be selected? Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority waiting list last opening was in 2016 with 7,000 applicants. The applicant waiting list cannot be determined. All information was determined, when the family is selected on the waiting. Once the family is pulled from the waiting list, the agency does the eligibility process. The preference could have changed and may change the family ranking on the waiting list. The family must have all provided required support documentation for the process of eligibility for the preference. We currently have 3,200 families on the waiting list at this time. So what I can produce is not the time, but I can produce the data of how many families have been admitted to the ACB program since the past 10 years. 2014, we admitted 110, 2015, 232, 2016, 313, 2017, 158 families, 2018, 286 families, 2019, 213, 2020, 115, 2021, 219, 2022, 198. As of right now, 2023, we had admitted 142 families. I do want to say everything is based upon availability, funding, and we pull families accordingly when we have funding. The next question was.
No, I guess with your data, you can't like take, I guess the number of one for each year, try to figure out how long each one been on the waiting list to get like a good average.
Well, I couldn't get that information, how long it takes for them to be pulled. I call myself giving you the information based upon the preference.
So you can't say from the application date to when they got pulled from the system?
We can look into see if we could get a Krista report, from Emphasis that may show that
Okay.
information. Because we haven't opened our wait list since 2016.
So that's when the
So-
7,000,
Yes, it was
6,000.
7,000. We're still utilizing that same waiting list now. And we still have over 3,000 families.
So question in reference to the two separate numbers.
Mhm.
The current number is the deduction of the amount of families that were approved each year. So that total of those years equal that deduction from that 6,000.
Not
Or-
necessarily, because we have to purge our waiting list every 18 months. So we'll send out letters to families and say, hey, are you still interested? And so they have to respond back to us with their preferences. And if they don't respond, then they are removed from the waiting list.
Okay.
And so we encourage our families, if they have a change of address, to make sure they let us know. So sometimes we get, we started at 7,000, now we're at 32. We probably, looking at the numbers you provided, I might have been maybe 1,000 people at that.
Yeah.
So the other ones kind of fell off, probably due
With
to
the
non-response. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm. Or they may have been housed in other cities, because you have to realize too, that not most of the time, they're not only on our wait list, they're in wait lists in other jurisdictions as well.
Mm.
So if Chesapeake calls them first, guess what? They're going to Chesapeake. If Norfolk calls them first, they're going to Norfolk.
And you find out when you do the purge
Yes.
that they're no longer interested in the
Yes.
Portsmouth wait list.
Yes. Mhm.
Question is, where to let the applicants from the waiting list, the Portsmouth Redevelopment Housing Authority use any other policy criteria for distributing housing choice vouchers to applicants or selecting the next appropriate public housing other than what's listed below because of problems at Dale and other public housing candidates would not choose to live in one of those units. So right now, we do have, we have 3 waiting lists. Mainstream vouchers. We also have a, waiting list for SROs, and we have, housing choice vouchers.
Can you explain what the mainstream voucher wait list is?
The mainstream, voucher is a program that is with the COC. And basically, they have to be homeless or disabled to qualify for the mainstream vouchers.
And the SRO?
And the, SRO is single room occupancy, and that is with, South Bay Apartments. I think that's, Phoebus is not,
South Bay.
So, South
South
Bay.
Bay and Cloverleaf.
Cloverleaf.
And Herons Landing. Yes, we have Herons Landing, as well. So, and South Bay, for those you don't know, is right adjacent to our cottages with Swanson Home. You see, that's South Bay, so we have units in there. They're not owned by us, but we have units there. And so other cities as well we have the majority because we're the whole city, but other cities have, I think, 6 beds each. And
So who owns it?
Virginia Supportive Housing.
Are families aware of the point preference system? Is it just in-house?
No,
We just do this in-house?
no, during the application process, they check the preference, when we do the application intake. And if they have a change, they submit the information and we update it.
Because they can fall within several of these. One family can be all of these.
Yes, and that's how we rank them on the waiting list.
So that would be a compilation of all the points. So if they were 15, 10, 10, 10, then that makes their number higher.
Yes. So, as of right now, we are scheduled, we've been pulling at least 100 families every 2 weeks at this time to, screen them and get them ready for, eligibility process for the vouchers we have currently available. I'm gonna proceed with number 3. I understand everyone is in need, but how often our applications are either waiting list review. We print down the waiting list on a monthly basis. That is a internal requirement under PRHA. The agency, the waiting list is reviewed on a monthly basis that every day due to the demand of the program and family changes with addresses, income, and preferences. PRJ, print the waiting list, and, the activity has increased due to the fact that, we do have available slots, and, we're doing eligibility ongoing at this time.
So is that monthly printout, a suggestion from HUD? Do they have their own every 3 months, what have you, or?
That's according to our policy, which is in our administrative plan. It is a requirement, internal requirement, and
So we review it to see if positions have changed, and then also as a part of our, annual audit, when the audit firm comes, they will look and see where this person was placed on the wait list and when you pull them. And that's just to make sure that you're following the correct order, you're not pulling people that shouldn't be, and so they will ask, okay, show me where that person was next in line. And we have to be able to demonstrate that that person was the next one in line.
Root out preferential treatment.
Right.
Are you still doing preference as a project based?
Yes, for choice mobility? Yes,
Okay.
that is so.
Any other questions, concerns?
That's all my question. We must be way behind. We ain't never ordered in 2000.
That, 2020. You don't go that far back. We had that. And I will say that, another delay in addition to COVID is that we changed our fiscal year. We were July 1 fiscal year, and we changed to a January calendar year fiscal year. So because of that, we had to create a 12-month audit and then the remainder of that 6 months. So it was really 18 months that had to be audited to get us, not making an excuse because by any means, definitely should have been done. And I'm not happy about it at all. But that was some challenges that we faced, and so.
Okay. That's it. Commissioners? Commissioner Williams,
Nothing here.
Commissioner Pickens,
Yes, I just want to speak to the, New Orleans conference, that we just went to. It was the largest conference that we visited. And a lot of,
I think it was 2,600.
yeah, like 2,600 people there from, a lot of, PHAs that I haven't run into, in the other conferences. Some good breakout sessions. One very interesting one, it was, hip hop and the housing authority.
He actually talked me into going to that one and I wasn't going to go. And that was excellent.
Yeah, in no way did we think that, those two things would easily tie together with all the information that is poured into us in those, events. But it was one of the largest turnouts, and it was, attendees from generations, young and old. And, he started it out by playing different tunes, and the entire room could relate to the music, which wasn't expected. And it was, a lot of different cultures in the room as well that was able to, use his use of hip hop to connect with public housing and how they tied together from the history of public housing in New York and the start of hip hop in New York. But he also tied it into, different things that we deal with nowadays that carried over from the 50 years ago when hip hop started, and how those things tie into public housing and the parts that we play, in moving public housing forward. And we can use hip hop to help bridge gaps in communities. So
I would like,
interesting.
I would
Oh.
probably participate in that.
Well, he's also, we all did surveys, so he's vouching to see if it's something that can be brought back.
Branched over to other places.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh, and one other thing. The program in Dell Homes, what was the building program?
Oh, the carpentry program, yes.
Yes, they talked about the program. And one PHA, I think they were out of Texas, had about 35 to 40 students, well, young adults active in the program.
Okay,
And they were speaking of a lot of successes that they were having.
okay.
So looking
Reach
forward
out
to that.
yeah, 'cause we need more. We only have a handful in the program. We definitely would like to know what they're doing.
So was that a national program and we just,
Well, we have the program in Dale right now is funded through Parks and Rec.
okay.
Now, we also have the youth field that's coming
You're
up.
talking about the
The
youth.
youth
That's what
field,
it
okay,
is.
youth
Yes,
field,
youth
okay,
field,
so
yes.
Yes.
so yes, that is a national program.
okay,
So
yeah.
I think we'll have much more success, with that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And recruiting, a little bit.
yes.
Recruiting for
Youth field,
you feel, okay,
18 to 24.
got it.
Is that within the community and elsewhere?
Then it can be all of our communities, HCB, and individuals that are in 23704 or 23707 zip codes.
Oh, for, so,
Mr. Morgan?
thank you, that's all.
Did you post it? Cause I can share it on my page if you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we have it up there a lot.
Yeah, okay. So,
Better? Just to piggyback off of, Commissioner Pickens, that this was one of the best conferences I've ever been to. And I don't know if you remember the young lady who opened the 100 Fears.
Oh, no, we have a book.
Yeah, we actually read a lot of it on the airplane. I'd love to get you that information for another conference, but the one thing that I took from that, and I think we were standing nodding our head at the same time, was toward the end, she was saying, how everybody prefaces what's the worst thing that could happen. She changed the worst to what's the best thing that could happen out of that situation. And I don't know why that resonated with me, but I've been saying it ever since. She was just a really good speaker. I don't know that I would have done even 5 of the things that she pulled off on YouTube, because she traced her tracks doing 100 of her fears. And there was a lot of fear factor type stuff that there's no way. But I'm going to do 100 things that I should be doing, and see if I can actually make it do that. But excellent, all the way around. Um, Mr. Pickens isn't happy about the, we were, a lot of people missed out on the guest hotel because of how many people were in there. But other than that, it was splendid.
Glad you enjoyed it.
And I didn't use my break. I actually won some headsets that somebody else won.
Okay.
So, anything else from anyone? Staff? Okay, well, I guess we will adjourn.
Adjourn, do roll call.
Commissioner Cost?
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan? Yes. Commissioner Pickens?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Vice Chair Prince?
Yes.